Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. What a week it has been so far, and we're only on Tuesday evening. I've got three special guests with me, Craig, Gary and Paul. We'll be discussing everything Tottenham Hotspur, so please do get your comments in to us. We'll be discussing Jose Mourinho's sacking that only happened yesterday. It feels like a week ago already. Ryan Mason's interim appointment until the end of the season, the European Super League, and of course previewing the Southampton game that will take place tomorrow. Craig, let's start with you. Jose Mourinho sacked yesterday, and on Sunday evening, all this talk about the European Super League. How's your week been so far?
Absolutely mental, same as everybody else. It's not like we've got not much to talk about. It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? You know, last 48 hours with Jose going and then that announcement Sunday night. It is mental, absolutely mental. So much to... You know, you look on Twitter and there's just different bits of information coming out all the time, and you never know what to believe. But you know, I literally just look now. I see Last Word on Spurs tweeted something about that. All six teams are rowing back now, so hopefully there'll be something to come out of Tottenham shortly. But perhaps Daniel Levy's having his tea or something. I don't know.
Well, in the last hour or so, before I come to you, Gary and Paul. In the last hour or so, it has been reported that Chelsea are pulling out of the European Super League and Manchester City as well. TalkSport are now reporting that Ed Woodward, the chairman of Manchester United, has now resigned due to the backlash of this European Super League. And they are also reporting that the European Super League is now off. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this European Super League. Gary, let's come to you. How's the last 48 hours been for you?
Well, I mean, I think you were one of the first I messaged, actually. I was just in complete shock. I mean, ironically, I've either got TalkSport on when I'm in the garden training, or I've got Sky Sports News on when I'm in the front room. But at this particular moment, I had my music on, and it was actually a QPR fan that messaged me. He lives one row down and goes, "Have you heard Mourinho's been sacked?" And I went, "Yeah, all right, mate." And they're not going to sack him a week before a final. And then he WhatsApped me back, and I put on Sky Sports News, and I was like... The thing for me, Chris, you know, with me, Mourinho, I was kind of sitting on the fence a bit of him. I know a lot of the fans and stuff wanted him out, but I must say, I did like Mourinho. I did like his personality. I liked the way he was. I liked him in interviews. I used to watch all the Mourinho cam of him when they used to, and he looked passionate and he looked like he wanted the team to win. But what I will say was some of his substitutions, some of his team pickers, as we all know. I think the one for me was Man United when he brought on Sissoko. I think 60 minutes in, I just switched off. I was like, that's, you know, not playing Bell, Dele Alli, the same old thing, isolating out players, blah, blah, blah. But it's a shock. And the biggest shock for me is a week before the final, only Tottenham could sack a manager a week before a cup final. It's just absolute madness. I just can't believe it. I thought...
Do you know what, Gary?
I did think you could go in the summer. Go on.
Do you know what, Gary? I completely agree. I was surprised by the timing. I wasn't surprised by the sacking. I was surprised by the timing that it is before this cup final. But I've got to put this comment on screen from Phil here. Not very passionate on Friday night, was he? Now, that is one thing that I noticed. Sitting at home watching the Everton game, Jose Mourinho was just sat there like he was watching a Sunday League game. And that just wasn't Jose Mourinho to me. You know, he wasn't shouting instructions to the players. He just looked so disinterested. And it just felt so strange to me. So, you know, looking back in hindsight, it perhaps wasn't really a shock that he did get the boot, you know, because there was just nothing there.
No, I think near the end, I think the writing was on the wall. I think he'd lost the dressing room. A lot of the players we know weren't playing for him and stuff. But it's just, you know, it's a shame because honestly, I really wanted it to work out for Mourinho. I really, really did. And like you, Chris, when he came in, you think, who else is going to win us a trophy other than Mourinho? And we're in a weird situation now because I've always said we're going to win this Carabao Cup. I told you, start of the season, I believe that. And I still believe we will win the Cup on Sunday. But whose one is it? Is it Ryan Mason? Is it the players? Is it Mourinho?
Gary, at the moment,
I don't know. I mean,
Gary, at the moment, we're getting every other word from you. It's quite a bad connection at the moment, Gary.
I think that was like Mourinho in the change room, wasn't it? I think.
Paul, let's come to you. You know, how has this 48 hours been? Because, like I just said, Jose Mourinho got sacked yesterday. It already feels like a week has been there.
It does. I tell you what, my grey hairs have got even greyer after watching the last 48 hours, Chris. I'm telling you, my stress levels have been through the roof. You know, as you say, I was watching the game on a Friday night. Mourinho was just lackluster in his approach with him sitting there, you know, on the sideline, not really getting involved. And I even thought then, that doesn't look good, like you say. You right there, Gary?
Oh, brilliant.
Sorry, right, let's go. Let's go to Craig. Craig, I want to talk about Jose Mourinho's time at Spurs.
You know, in the final.
He's still going.
Is he back?
Without Mourinho, with him.
That's like Norman Collier.
The answer to it.
I
don't know if we're in a better, if we've got better odds winning it now or not. My head is just.
Okay, I think.
Craig, let's come.
Not too good.
Oh God!
That's it. He's gone. He's gone.
Oh,
He'll be back. He'll be back. I'm no doubt. Craig, let's come to you now. I want to talk about Jose Mourinho's time at Spurs. He won 51% of his games in charge at Spurs in all competitions, winning 44 out of 86. Now, when I look back at Jose Mourinho's time, you know, there's some games that I remember. And I think that I'll remember Jose Mourinho's time for us spending 5 weeks this season at the top of the Premier League, beating Arsenal at home a couple of times. But then I'm also going to remember that dreadful week of losing to Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium and then losing 3-0 to Dynamo Zagreb. And Jose Mourinho was brought into Tottenham to get us over that line and lift us a trophy. A lot of us believed that he would do that. You know, certainly the Europa League, he bigged up the Europa League and said that, you know, we could go on to win that competition, and then crashing out of that competition so badly. You know, how will you remember Jose Mourinho's time at Spurs?
Certainly not as fondly as Poch and other managers, to be honest. He's back. Not as fondly at all. I think I've said before, I never really wanted him in the first place, but I was there. I was going to support him while he was our manager right up until the end. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I said to you, you know, I'm Jose out now. And of course, we all know what happened. For me, the happiest memory was obviously the 5 weeks at the top. And to be honest, if anybody remembers that incident with the ball boy, where he quickly threw the ball back into play.
Yeah, that's good.
For some reason sticks in my mind. Yeah. And then obviously the downside was, as you say, the worst week was that London in the Europa. In the second, really, it hasn't been critical.
Craig,
Craig, you're doing a Gary on us now.
Cutting out.
Is it any better now?
No, I'm going to go to Gary while you sort your Wi-Fi out.
It's something going on, isn't it? Listen, well, the reason I went off is Daniel Levy just phoned me. He said we're going to leave the Super League last, so at least we can say we won it.
You say he's hacked into your Wi-Fi to try and save some money.
I've got Sky Wi-Fi. That's what it is.
Yeah, my connection's terrible. I've just changed it from O2 back to Wi-Fi and vice versa. I don't know. But yeah, go on, Chris. Sorry, mate.
Right.
Well, let's take Gary's question here. Thank you very much for your super chat, Gary. Hi, gang. Happy that Ryan Mason is interim manager. I believe now that we will see the old free attacking football that we love. Given that Manchester City and Chelsea have folded, will Tottenham Hotspur Football Club? Gary, what's your? I know we're going to come on later on in the video to Ryan Mason's appointment, but you know, very quickly answering Gary's point about Ryan Mason. Are you happy with that?
Look, I think I am, but it can't be long term. I mean, we know we want the Leipzig manager. I honestly thought the way Daniel Levy works, I thought this morning there'll be an announcement and we got the Leipzig manager. It didn't happen. I was waiting for it because we know what his history is like. That's what he does. Normally he's got another manager lined up. So I generally thought today the news would be broke, but obviously it hasn't. Look, Ryan Mason, we know about him. He was at Tottenham for a while. Awful what happened to him, the head injury. It would be some story if he took over Tottenham for the cup final, putting the game aside tomorrow Southampton, but Sunday's the big game for us, obviously. If he won us that cup on Sunday, it would kind of be like a fairy tale story, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's played for Tottenham. He's had to retire young. He could have lost his life with that. That was a serious injury. I mean, it would be great. And I do think because we got Ryan Mason in charge, we will see Gareth Bale and Dele Alli play on Sunday. So that's one good thing. The thing is, I keep going over in my mind, have we got more of a chance of winning on Sunday because we've sacked Jose Mourinho and we've got Ryan Mason in charge? I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I don't
Gary,
know.
We will come on to that. We will come on to that subject, that exact subject. But I do want to talk about Jose Mourinho first, and then we will then get on to those other subjects. Now, Jose Mourinho lost 13 games this season, the highest number in a single campaign. But during his time at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, only 3 teams in the Premier League got more points. Manchester City with 130, Liverpool with 117, Manchester United with 116, and Spurs got 95. Jose Mourinho managed Tottenham for 58 Premier League games. We won 27, we drew 14, and we lost 17. Paul, what have you? How would you describe Jose Mourinho's time at Spurs?
A bit of a yo-yo, really, Chris. Obviously, regarding the pandemic, we respected him what he did with obviously the food banks, things like that, going to the stadium. I thought good. That's another side to Jose we haven't seen before. He's always maintained he's the chosen one, etc. So it was nice to see an actual human, normal side to him. Regarding football, like you say, standout ones would have been obviously the Man United game away, Southampton away, where you could really identify how the team were playing, attacking on the front foot. Obviously I know crowds not been in the ground somewhat. They've been the 12th man, but certainly you could see an identity under us when we had him in charge. But towards the end of it, you could see like the players lost heart, disinterested, no passion, no fight. Us 4 here in this chat room would have put more into our heart and soul than the players under him, which is sad to see, because I will back any manager in our seat, no matter who they are, what they've achieved or anything. They're my messiah, so to speak. Anyone in charge has my full backing. I'm sorry to see Mourinho go. I'm gutted that he didn't win a trophy for us, and it's the first club that he hasn't. But onwards and upwards, personally, now I want us to see us improving, playing with a smile on our face, scoring goals, attacking football. If we lose 4-5-0, I don't care as long as we try and actually giving damn that we actually play for this wonderful club that we all support and love, and want to see us to scoring and just playing fun and saying, come on, we're Tottenham Hotspur, we're better than all the rest of you, kind of thing,
Can I ask any of you whether you feel sorry in any way for Jose Mourinho?
Yeah, I did feel a little bit sorry for him, I've got to admit, but I have always liked Jose Mourinho. Now, he's just got that confidence and arrogance about him. And let's be honest, when he came over and managed Chelsea and he said, I'm the special one and I'm going to do this along with that, he did it all. I do think sometimes the press will just jump on anything Mourinho says. He gets it. I mean, if you take, for example, you look at Arteta, where Arsenal are, he doesn't get anywhere near as much stick or grief as what... Oh, look, I know they're in the semis with Europa, but, I mean, they're poor in the league and they've been, some of their defeats have been a lot worse and more embarrassing than Tottenham's. But Mourinho, I just felt, going to Tottenham and it being Jose Mourinho and Tottenham, I think he was just in the firing line. And I honestly do think it was very difficult for him in interviews. And I do think a lot of the time, especially when Tottenham were doing well, he was very good in interviews. And I think he has got that personality and he was really good. But unfortunately, like what you said, just near the end, some of the team selections, look, I could understand, the mentality changing the defence, because every defence he was playing were awful. None of them were doing great. I know we're all, we were frustrated with Toby Alderweireld. I get that. He is by far our best defender. Maybe it was a bit harsh leaving him out, but I understand why he was changing a lot of the defence. I get that. What I don't really get, for me, the only thing that didn't sit right for me wasn't so much the Dele Alli, because I do think Dele Alli was underperforming and wasn't playing as great as what he had. But the one for me was Gareth Bale, because I think Gareth Bale in particular, when he did start playing, I felt he was playing really good. And he was getting a lot of assists, he was scoring a lot of goals, and I think he had a bit of a bad half against Arsenal or whatever, and then it just seemed he was gone.
But the whole team weren't playing well against Arsenal, though, were they? You know, let's be fair, it wasn't individuals. They weren't all playing.
For me, I just think it was a bit harsh how he treated Gareth Bale. But I think it was quite apparent when you look on his Instagram what players sort of wished him goodbye and all the best, and what players didn't. You know, you sort of knew, didn't you, what ones were gone and what ones weren't. So obviously he, you know, like what you said in the Newcastle game and stuff, he'd lost the dressing room, you know, 100%. And when it goes sour like that, there's only one way in there. That it couldn't go any other way. But did they do that a week before the final? Because if we had won us that Carabao Cup and won that trophy, would it be more difficult for Levy to sack him? Would he have had to pay him out more because there was a clause in that if he wins a trophy for Tottenham? Because let's be honest, the clause in that contract, it would have been top 4 and a trophy, I'm guessing. Yeah. Because it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I did feel sorry for him. And I still do admire Mourinho. And you can't take away from him what he's won. You can't, you know?
Craig, let's come to you. Gary mentions Gareth Bale there. You know, Jose Mourinho's departure. What other players do you think that will possibly be pleased by this news and perhaps get more of a chance?
Danny Rose.
It's hard. Yeah, Danny Rose jumped out the back of a van, didn't he? I said, what are you lot doing here? You might probably get a squad number now. I don't know. I would imagine a lot of them, to be honest. You know, I heard, and it's his Twitter going mad again. I heard that it was the French contingent leaked something that he'd lost the dressing room weeks ago. You know, whether that was Sissoko or Ndombele, I don't know. So in my mind, certainly Bale, I think, will be rubbing his hands together. I think there's a distinct possibility, depending on how he plays, that Mourinho's clearly put Gareth Bale, the likes of Gareth Bale, Dele Alli, and that above Mourinho, hasn't he? That's what he's done. Yeah, you know, and his gamble hasn't paid off. Let's face it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gareth Bale starts performing, that you'll see him again in the Spurs shirt next year. Yeah, and Levy will know that, because the shirt sales will go through the roof. There'll be fans back in the stadium, hopefully. Yeah, and you know, hopefully the only way is up. Bale, Ali, I think will be reveling in this decision to sack him. I think possibly Sanchez might be pleased, because he's been in and out the team. Those are the main ones, aren't they? I think Bergwijn probably be given another chance, because we haven't seen him. Lo Celso's a difficult one for me, because you can see there's a player in there, but he's so frustrating to me. Yeah. He just hasn't quite performed for me for what I think he can, how he can perform. To say he was an Eriksen replacement, he was never an Eriksen replacement, because he's not that sort of player. And you can't, I've said on here many times, you can't replace Christian Eriksen. No. For me, he was just one of those players. The only one that we could have replaced him with was Bruno Fernandes, and we all know what happened there. So we got the wrong one, as I've said before again. And of course, Vinicius might be pleased. He might get another run out. But Chris, I forgot one the other week. You know, I said about Jack Grealish, we got Jack Clark and blah blah blah. We wanted Vinicius Junior, and we got Carlos Vinicius. That was the other one I was trying to think of. So there you go. But yeah, I think there'll be a few players that we're pleased that he's gone, and I think we're really gonna, fingers crossed, we'll see Bale step up now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him start tomorrow, to be honest. Yeah. Before
we move on to talk about Ryan Mason, feel free, all of you, to give me your favourite Jose Mourinho moment as a Tottenham Hotspur manager, and of course your worst. You know, my favourite is him managing Spurs. You know, in the 6-1 win against Manchester United at Old Trafford. You know, that was absolutely superb. But you know, I remember feeling on top of the world that day, the way that we were banging goals in, and we looked a real force in the Premier League. And my low point is Dynamo Zagreb. You agree, or have you got any different ones?
Man United for me, but always beating Woolwich is nice. Even Man City, you know, even that was a good one, but definitely Man United by far. And the worst, I don't know. There's been so many.
Says
You know,
all,
another
doesn't it?
bad one, Gary, was the Bournemouth away. 102 minutes of football.
Oh.
Not a shot on target. That was a bad one.
You know, I genuinely do believe under Ryan Mason over the last few games, if you blindfolded all of those players and said you had to play towards the ball backwards, we would still make more chances and more shots on goal in that game. So in that game, you know, I forgot about that game. How bad was that game? That was absolutely horrendous, wasn't it? Yeah. And let's be honest, I noticed that was there 6 games left in the cup final, was it?
Yeah.
I know if nothing else, we're just going to go for it. Yes, we might lose. Yes, we might scrape draws. Yes, there may be goals going in. But let's be honest, at least we're going to go for it. We're going to make chances. And it's going to feel a little bit like Tottenham again. And we all know Tottenham, win, lose, draw. It's Tottenham. But unfortunately, near the end with Mourinho, it was just too predictable. We went ahead 1-0. You know, like last game, I knew within 5 minutes we'd be losing. You could just predict it. You see it happening. But under Poch and stuff, and I even think in the last few games of under Ryan Mason, I think there's always that little bit of a lift when a new sort of manager comes in. I know he's not going to be our manager, but when someone takes over temporary and someone's out the door, it's going to lift the players. So obviously we mentioned Bell, Dele Alli, players like that, even Vinicius, you know. Although I'm not really sold with Vinicius, if I'm honest. He still needs to learn the offside rule because he keeps going offside. He's frustrating, you know, so I don't know with him. I think out of Vinicius and Bergwijn, I can see more potential with Bergwijn than Vinicius, if I'm honest. But Vinicius scored more goals. So what do I know? Do you know what I mean? But I find him quite frustrating to watch. But I think if anything else, the last few games, we will see a bit more Tottenham what we're used to. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll certainly go for it in games, you know?
Yeah.
Craig, just to clear up the Jose Mourinho chapter, any good or bad points for you during the season or during last season?
The Brighton game actually sticks in my mind. I thought that was shocking. You know, the one, I think it was at their place, that was pretty poor. But, you know, there've been so many when you think about it, bad performances. Excuse me. I totally agree with what Gary said about the Man City game. Always nice beating Arsenal. And it was bearable when we were getting the points. Yeah. But you know, let's face it. After that West Ham game, that you can see he went back into the change room and said, "Right, that is never happening again, and we're going to change." And it's just not the Tottenham that we're all used to. I was thinking about it. I was talking to one of the dads over my son's football just now, and I said it's funny because we think we've been playing crap football. We're in a cup final, and we're still above a team like Leeds, who play thrilling football, and their fans are probably absolutely ecstatic, you know, and yet Leeds are below us. So I think they're below us still, aren't they? I don't think they ever took it. But so there's a difference. You know, we could still get top 4 theoretically. We still could win a cup, yet we're majorly unhappy and managerless. And Leeds are flying high, and they're loving it. And they've just come up and they've done really well. But I'll tell you what, I love watching Leeds, and I think that's why half the fan base were turned against him, because if we played fast, you know, like the almost the Ozzy Ardiles type football when we had that front 5, if you remember that. Yeah. I mean, it was magnificent to watch. I mean, we didn't do particularly well, but Christ, was it attacking football? And you know, I think that's what you've got to put in mind. The fact Mourinho played dull, boring football,
that was the thing.
It didn't help him, did it? And will I miss him? Do I feel sorry for him? Tiny bit, Gary, but it's hard.
Craig, sorry, can you tell everyone about the email that you sent me yesterday about the feeling of when you heard that Jose Mourinho had been sacked? Because for me, it felt so different. You know, when I heard the news of Mauricio Pochettino being sacked, I was absolutely gutted. You know, for me, it felt like a death in the family. I felt that was wrong about it. But Jose Mourinho sacking, I was like, all right, okay. It was very different.
I was, as you say, Chris, I sent Chris an email yesterday and just said, I always like a news like this, whether it's good or bad, whatever the news is, it's your initial reaction in that split second when you hear it. It's funny, the Poch news is funny. It's like you always remember where you were when you found out about Princess Diana. Yeah, and I knew exactly where I was and who told me the news. And I was, like everybody probably, absolutely distraught. I couldn't believe it. Yet I heard the Mourinho news. I got it from one of my mates who's an Arsenal fan. Actually, he messaged me when Jose's gone. I literally jumped off the sofa and I was like, "Yes, come on!" And yet I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? Where does this leave us, sort of thing? As much as I wanted him gone, and isn't it crazy? But that for me just says it speaks volumes. I thought, well, he's gone now. That is what I wanted, and I'm actually quite happy. And it's bad, isn't it, when you're happy that somebody loses a job? But let's not forget, it's hard to feel sorry for a millionaire who's going to do very, very well out of this. And football must be the only job where you get paid a load of money for being shit, because that's exactly. You know, if I get sacked, I don't get a payoff like that. So just bear that in mind. I won't miss him.
Right, that's Jose Mourinho, done and dusted. So we don't talk about him anymore. Right.
Cheers, Jose. Thanks for all the times.
Right. So earlier this morning, Tottenham Hotspur announced that Ryan Mason would take charge as interim head coach for the remainder of this season. As you rightfully said, Gary, 6 Premier League games and this cup final on Sunday. He will be joined by Chris Powell and Nigel Gibbs as interim head coaches, Michel Vorm as the goalkeeping coach, and Ledley King as the first team assistant. Paul, let's come to you first. What do you make of Ryan Mason taking charge of these 7 very important games for the remainder of this season?
I can see the club's logic, you know, homegrown, born and bred, loves the club, knows from young age what it's like to play for the club. Surprised, yes, to be honest with you. When it was announced Jose was sacked, my first thoughts was, right, get Harry Redknapp in until the end of the season.
Yeah.
He knew the players, he's played, he knows Bale's strengths, you know, he knows how Daniel Levy operates, he knows the club structure. Get him in, get Ledley King with him or someone to that calibre, maybe Robbie Keane in with him as well. And then obviously see where we go in the summer. But happy, we'll back Ryan Mason like I would do any new manager, interim or full time. So he has my full support and my 100% backing. I just want to say, like what he said on his interview today on Sky, he wants to bring back the pride, the passion. Hopefully we see that on Southampton tomorrow evening. But it's looking promising now that finally, like you say, Jose to one side, get a manager in the summer. But I personally feel that even though we get a new manager in, the structure of the actual club's got to change in the recruitment side of it, whether it's Steve Hitchin out and somebody else in his place, or we do away with this recruitment side of the club, and the manager who is in charge coming in has sole control on who he wants and who he gets. No middlemen, no director of football.
Yeah.
He wants that player. Daniel Levy and the board, go and get him. End of.
Craig, how are you feeling about Ryan Mason taking charge of these 7 games?
Can I just say, is Matt Lucas, the bald fella, is he an Arsenal fan?
Yes.
He is, isn't he? He's just tweeted, Spurs already selling DVD of their 48 hours in the ESL. I thought that was quite funny. That's quite funny, actually. I'm actually quite pleased to give the lad a go. He's 29. He's young enough to be my son, which is really depressing, and he's manager of Spurs. But give him a go. Give him a go. I would have preferred a Redknapp, if I'm honest. But would Harry have come in and done any more than Ryan Mason could do in 5, 6 days? Probably not. So the players have got to get up for this. They know they've got a final to play, and then. I heard earlier they're almost going to be on the beach, really, Tottenham players after this, unless they can somehow G them up for these last 6 games. So he's kind of got a free hit, hasn't he? There's going to be no pressure on him. Nobody's going to expect too much from him, and it must be daunting for as he knows players like Bale and Hugo, obviously, and that, but. He's 29 years old. Bale's older than him. Hugo's older than him. And still at that age, you're still looking up to people that are older than you, aren't you? And thinking they know better than me. So hopefully he's got a good support around him, which he has in Ledley and that. So I think the senior players will rally around. I think he'll have Kane's here, and Kane will have a lot to say, which I think will be good. And it'll be interesting to see what team he picks, not only tomorrow, but for the cup final itself. So, but let's face it, it can't really go wrong for him, can it? Like I say, there's no pressure on him. I welcome it. He did look a bit like a scared rabbit in the headlights at that press conference today, and it was it was shocking. The reporters kept asking him about this Super League, because he clearly A, didn't want to talk about it, and B, perhaps didn't know much about it. And I'm glad the press officers stepped in and said, like, basically leave it out. And So yeah, I'll obviously be supporting him. I think it's a reasonable appointment for the club for 7 games or 6 games or whatever it is. And
Craig, you
let's
said,
face
you
it,
said there it can't go wrong for him, but it can go wrong for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It can go wrong for the board, and it can go wrong for us fans because, of course, we've got a cup final this Sunday, and we've got 6 Premier League games left. We're chasing that European spot, either Champions League or Europa League. It can go wrong. So, are you surprised that Daniel Levy has put Ryan Mason, a very inexperienced manager, 29 years old, he becomes the youngest Premier League manager in Premier League history.
Crazy.
Are you not surprised that we didn't go with someone who has experience just to get us over that line until the summer? I've nothing against Ryan Mason at all. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a top professional. But it does worry me about the inexperience. I know you've got Ledley King in there, but none of them have actually managed at Premier League level.
Yeah, I mean, they must.
Final.
No, I mean, I would say Daniel Levy's not a stupid bloke, and of course he's not a stupid bloke. But from what I know, from what I've heard, Ryan Mason's very well thought of and very respected. And I think that's one of the most important things you've got to realise here. I agree. I would, like I said before, I would have gone for a Redknapp. I'd have been on the phone to Harry straight away, say, come and help us out for 6 games. I think Redknapp would have done it. That died for me when I'd heard him interviewed I'd been interviewed by TalkSport saying that the Super League, he didn't agree with it, albeit that all the rest of us didn't agree with it as well. But the fact Harry had come out and said it, I thought, well, Daniel Levy can't really ask him now because presumably it was Daniel Levy that was on these meetings to set this up in the first place. I don't know if Joe Lewis would have been on the call. I don't know how that would work at Tottenham, but yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a worry, but give him a chance. Give him a chance. I personally don't think he would do any better or worse than anybody else coming in. And let's face it, who else would you bring in? To take the last 6 games, I can't think of any other managers that would want to do it. They're out of a job.
Benitez.
Yeah, no, for 6 games. I mean, Benitez do it for 6? You know what I mean? Because it's quite clear to me. I think we're going to go for Nagelsmann. I think he's waiting for that. I think he's put the call in. Definitely. The bookies are really wrong, aren't they? They don't get it wrong that much. So,
I've got to mention it now. You've said it with channel sponsors. William Hill, favourite is Nagelsmann at 3-1.
Yeah.
It's not that short odds, really, though, is it? Because when Jose was in, it was odds on. So I don't think it's a done deal yet. But obviously, I think they've probably had a discussion. And of him and Rodgers, I was thinking I'd probably go for Nagelsmann. But then again, I know very little about him other than us playing Leipzig and watching Leipzig a couple of times in the Champions League. But apparently, he's very good attacking, pressing, which is what we're used to. So. Yeah,
we will come on to new managers, Craig, in a second. Gary, just want to give you the opportunity to talk about Ryan Mason. Now, Ryan Mason, in the press conference today, said it's no secret that I love this football club. To spend 20 years of my 29 years involved with this football club, it's in my heart, it's in my blood. Of course it is. There's no question that he loves this club. Is it the right interim appointment for Spurs?
I think so. I don't think who else. I mean, there must be a reason why Ledley King, I don't know if he's got the right badges or he was offered, he didn't want to do it, but I think probably, and the thing with Ledley King is, don't get me wrong, I think as a defender was great, but I think personality-wise, I think Ryan Mason has a bit more than Ledley King. I think it was great, Ledley King, but personally, it's very quiet and kind of a bit more, do you know what I mean? So I think that's why it's gone to Ryan Mason. Ryan Mason was a bit, when he was playing for Tottenham, he used to go out there and give it. I think he's ideal for the cup final and for the last 6 games, but certainly not for next season. I think in the summer will be, I'm still surprised. There has to be a reason behind it. I mean, I guess because we're so late into the season now, we've got the cup final of 6 games. I think if it had been earlier on in the season, maybe we'd already have the Leipzig manager. And I think we will be appointing the Leipzig manager, but it'll probably happen in the summer now. So for the cup final, I think it was Alistair Gold put something up where he asked Ryan Mason what his version of Spurs would look like. And his answer was, I want us to be brave and aggressive and play like Tottenham Hotspur can play. When I read that, I thought, that's something I haven't heard in a while, what I need to hear. So reading that alone gives me confidence going into the cup. I've always been confident with the cup final. It's a one-off game. you've got the beauty of VAR. You know, if they can lose to a 10-man Leeds, they can lose to an 11-man Tottenham. It can happen. I'm certain we're going to win that. And, you know, bringing Ryan Mason in and saying to the players, go out there and play, and maybe giving Bell a run out of stuff now is probably what's going to take us over the line. So I think for the final and the last 6 remaining games, yes, Ryan Mason is a perfect fit, but certainly not for next season. Definitely not.
Paul, let's come to you. Roy Price writes a super chat. So thanks very much, Roy. If the players wanted Jose out, then they need to step up and show that he was the problem, not the players. Make it easy for Ryan to do the job. Now, Ryan Mason knows a lot of these players. He's played alongside half of this Tottenham team, including best mate Harry Kane. How do you see this relationship with the players with him?
I think the players have the respect for him because of what he achieved when he played alongside him. You know, like we've said previously, never want to see a player retire so young, especially with the injury that he had. So I think they maybe appreciate more, but just want to try and play for him, you know, and actually wear their shirt and have pride in wearing it, you know, like we all do when we go and watch him at the lane, our holy grail, you know, and hopefully we can just see more passion on the pitch. I'm
just thinking, does it take a little bit of pressure off the players in the final? Does it settle the nerves a bit and take the pressure off? Because by sacking Mourinho, in a way, it probably gives you a little bit less pressure and stuff, you know? So maybe in a weird sort of way, this is probably a good thing for the fans of the Tottenham and for the players when you sort of think of it like that. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you're right, Gary. I think that the fans are already feeling like that pressure is off because we were all saying, oh, we must get that European spot. We must do this. We must do that. And when you bring someone like Ryan Mason in, I don't think that pressure is there anymore. But of course, we still. But that's what I was saying about it. We do still need that European spot. You know, when you have a stadium like we've got, when you have the like of Harry Kane and co, that you want to stay at the club, next season is very, very important. You know, with all this talk about European Super League starting in August, if this doesn't go ahead now, then the European spot for Spurs in the Europa League or Champions League is highly important. You know, you bring a new manager in, you want to be in a European competition, whether it be the Europa League or Champions League. You have 100%. To be there.
Yeah.
You have to be there.
And also it then attracts the better players because they want to actually play in Europe. If you're not, you haven't got that to offer to it, are you going to get like top draw? I know you still got to pay the money in the first place, but when you've got European football, it's that more appealing to say, I'll go to Spurs because we're in the Europa League and Champions League. You know, that's why I so annoyed when we was in the Champions League that we can go for the next caliber of players because we had that to offer them, you know, and we was consistently being there every year with Poch. We was in the top 4. You then you get so used to it, and that's what I'm not used to now. I'm gone back to the 90s because we've come so far as a club. But it's a bit frustrating.
I think if we, you know, it's gonna be attacking football tomorrow against Southampton. I think if we win that game tomorrow, which I think we will win, and it will be an entertaining win, which we've not had many of in the second part of the season. Forget the first part was amazing, but it will be an entertaining win. But I think off the back of that, you then go into that cup final. If we win that cup final, what does that then do to the players' confidence to try and get all them last wins to, dare I say it, get a top 4 and not even talk about top 6 and maybe, you know, get a Europa League spot? There still is a possibility with a Champions League spot. And I think if we beat Southampton tomorrow and win the final on Sunday, I've got every confidence we could then go on and get top 4. Why wouldn't we with Ryan Mason? You know, managers out, new guy in, the pressure's off. Everyone's playing as a team. No one's being, you know, isolated and, you know, picked out or anything and, you know, thrown under a bus, you know, in press conferences. And they're all just like one family, like what we used to have in at Tottenham. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm praying.
My only hope is, though, sorry guys, is just mentality because we also, after the Liverpool game, we were so close to winning it. You know, Bergwijn hit the post. We then conceded a late goal. Our heads dropped massively after that result. And now I think that's half the reason when we start losing our way a little bit. So I want to make sure that when Ryan's now in charge, he's trying to drum into these players the mentality of defending for 90 minutes, finding a man.
Let me ask all you guys a question, including you, Chris. In the cup final on Sunday, bearing in mind Mourinho has been sacked, would you rather us go 1-0 up or 1-0 behind?
I want to win 1-0, so 1-0 up, please.
1-0 up, yeah.
Fair enough, then.
I'd rather
That's fair enough.
It than us.
Because it's, you know, I mean, we used to under Mourinho going, 1-0 up and then conceding and losing the game and stuff like that. But a lot of the time with Tottenham, when we were going 1-0 behind, we really come out and go for it and win, wouldn't we? So it's just going to be a very, very interesting game Sunday. But I'm excited about tomorrow because it's not going to be what we've been used to and what we expect. I think tomorrow there's going to be good attacking football. I don't think by any means we're going to be amazing and beat them 9-0. We're not going to do that. But I think we are going to play entertaining football. I think we will get the win, 100%, 100%.
It's amazing though, Gary, isn't it? The fact that Jose Mourinho's gone, and there are so many upbeat fans right now.
Yeah,
everyone seems to have got this confidence out of nowhere, and everyone just feels like that sigh of relief that he's gone.
And the thing is, you're right, Chris. And I wasn't one of those Jose out ones either.
You don't sound like it.
I was right down to the last single time before we went. I still backed him because at the end of the day, he was our manager. Love him or hate him, you got to back your manager. And that's why, listen, look, he's gone now. We move on. Ryan Mason's in. He's got, history with, I think he joined Tottenham when he was, 6 or 7? Something like silly like that.
8.
So let's back him and let's go for it. Why not? But you're right. I think the majority, if you did a poll, I think probably 80 or 90% of people are happy Mourinho's gone. And I think the first half of the season, I loved him. Top of the league, great performances. Even when we was only winning 1-0, we weren't playing great football, but we were still winning 1-0. So we took it.
Isn't it funny though? Because any team that are kind of your rivals, if you like, whenever they've got a crap manager in that's doing crap, you just want that manager to stay there because they're going to continue to be crap.
Yeah.
You know it, as long as that manager's there. So as long as Wenger was there at the end, I loved that. Because they were crap, right? Well, they might have won the FA Cup. Let's forget that. We won't talk about that. But so you got the Wenger thing, and then when Moyes was at West Ham the first time, loved it because he was crap. When Mourinho was at Manchester United, we all knew he shouldn't be there. We all knew they should sack him, but they weren't sacking him probably for the same reasons we were, money.
Yeah.
And as long as he was there, Manchester United were crap, and then they sacked him, and then they got better again.
Yeah.
The Lampard at Chelsea. He was doing crap, and we knew Chelsea were going to be doing crap till they got rid of him, and they got rid of him, and now look, well, I think they were 0-0 with Brighton at the moment, but Tuchel's done a good job. So it's funny how it goes in football because all the fans know, and the owners know, and the CEOs know. They probably think, we should really sack him, but they give it time. Then eventually, that person goes, and 9 times out of 10, we do get the new manager bounce, and that's obviously what we're hoping for now.
That's it. You hit the nail on the head. The new manager bounce, even though he's only interim manager and he's only for the 6 games in the final, there is that bounce. So you would like to think off the back of that, we could win the cup final and we could win a few of them league games. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
I was watching Sonny train and he's putting a smile on his face. Like the last interview we saw with Sonny, he looked like there was a death in his family. Bless him. He was so devastating. And that's what you want from your players. You want them to be like they want to give their all and they love the club and they can feel how we're feeling, because we're not in the stadium, are we? We only see reactions when we're seeing interviews and we're seeing them live. If we're at the game, we can give that support, we can cheer them on, they can feel it, and they can get the love back by their performances. That's what I think we're missing so much this year. Even with Bale, I think if we had the 60-odd thousand cheering his name, you would have seen him banging in more goals, chasing more. When you're on your own and you've got Jose 1 minute liking you, kicking you up next, you're not going to perform, are you? Never, ever. I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
It's been difficult under COVID, but for me, one of the toughest things with that interview with Sonny, that was just...
It broke me.
It was terrible. I was so upset watching that. I just thought something's got to give and something's got to change, and it has. So, it had to be Mourinho. What else could it be, So it is what it is.
Craig, let's start with you on this one. Want to talk about the European Super League. Sunday evening, 11:15. In the evening, it come out that Tottenham Hotspur were going into the European Super League, and it could start as soon as this August 2021. Breaking news. Before we come on air, about Chelsea and Manchester City pulling out of this competition. Tottenham Hotspur, no official announcement from Spurs as yet, but club presidents, club chairmen are resigning left, right, and centre, and this is an absolute mess. What did you make of this news when you found out that Tottenham were part of this?
When they said it, I think they leaked it was 6 teams. I thought, oh, that's us in the frame. I bet you Levy's had his finger in that pie. You kind of knew it. You just knew it, didn't you? And then, of course, it came out. And I think, as Lee McQueen quite always rightly says, we are, on average, we finish 5th in the Premier League. That's our average finish position. So, and we are a big club. We're probably not as big yet as a lot of people think we are, but we are getting there. And, you know, we've got the stadium, we've got the infrastructure, and we just need to put the results on the pitch. So we were probably invited because of that, and, you know, the fact that the revenue is going to be there. So I wasn't shocked that we were invited, but when you get into the nitty gritty of it, I thought I'm going to try and keep an open mind on this, because let's face it, if we weren't invited, there would be a part of you that would want to be invited because of the money that it would generate for the club, right? That is the only thing you can say. The only thing is money. But when you look at the morality of it, how it would have affected football in this country all the way down to grassroots, which I'm involved with my boys, you know, it just would destroy everything that we've all held dear for years and years, and it's just morally wrong. It's disgusting, really. And to be honest, I thought that if Daniel Levy was the drive behind this and he was doing it rather than Joe Lewis, I'm surprised, because I always thought that the one thing about Daniel Levy was he was a football fan, he was a Tottenham fan, and he knew what the club was about, the area it comes from, how it was, you know, made all them years ago, and the history behind it. So he's kind of gone down in my estimations a little bit if he was a driving force behind that. So, but it just goes to show the fan power, doesn't it? You know, I watched Monday Night Football from start to finish last night, not because of the game. I didn't watch much of the game, if I'm honest. I wanted to watch Gary Neville.
Gary Neville was brilliant, wasn't he?
Because he was absolutely super. Apparently, he weren't even due down to work tomorrow, but they called him in. And it's the first time I've ever seen. You know, when they advertise Monday Night Football, they usually have a picture of the 2 clubs that are playing, their badges. They didn't have a picture of Carragher and Neville, didn't they? And it was brilliant. I thought they were fantastic, and I think it was really great. Gary Lineker coming out today with, you know, he's a funny guy, very dry sense of humour, but he gets his point across. Alan Shearer, all the old pros coming out and saying stuff. And now I've just seen Jordan Henderson's tweeted something on behalf of the whole Liverpool team, which is amazing. I've never seen that before. But apparently he got all the captains of all the Premiership teams together today on a Zoom call. I don't know how true that is again, but if you get a chance, have a look at Jordan Henderson's latest tweet. It's all over Twitter. Yeah. But it just goes to show. It'd be interesting to see if Kane does something similar, or Hugo Lloris, you know. But it's got to end. I'm glad it looks like it's falling on its arse before it began.
It's done.
But
it's done now, isn't it?
You would hope so, but I would hope there's not a clause in it that says you can't leave. I mean, let's face it, you go to B&Q and buy a light bulb, you've got a 30-day return policy on it. So you must be able to get out of this if you don't want it. So let's hope it collapses. Let's hope let's hope that Perez has had his 5 minutes of fun and fame, and they
Craig, how much money have you got if you're buying light bulbs from B&Q?
Yeah, all right. Amazon, I don't know.
Blimey, I go down the pound shop for them.
Well,
it's been lockdown, mate. Lockdown. I couldn't get there.
Talksport are reporting that the European Super League is off, so it doesn't look like it's now happening. But excellent. I must say that I wanted to read this statement out, or this short statement from Everton Football Club earlier, because they said, saddened and disappointed, 6 clubs tarnishing the reputation of our league and our game. 6 clubs choosing to disrespect every other club with whom they sit around the Premier League table. That is exactly how I feel, Gary, because as a fan, you know, not even being consulted by my own club about what's going to happen. You know, there is a complete disregard of the fans' opinions. And I think it's absolutely fantastic today, you know, seeing the Chelsea fans, and fair play to them. You know, they have got their club to change their mind.
Yeah, brilliant. I saw it. I was watching it. As you know, I'm fortunately the wife's a Chelsea fan, so we had it on. But, you know, I didn't think they had any passionate supporters like that, to be honest with you. But fair play to them. They were outside the stadium, you know, and they were proper giving it and stuff. And look, listen, this whole Super League, I think once it came out, I think what happened with all of that, from what I can make out, it sounds like Chelsea were the most reluctant to go into it, but kind of jumped in together, thought, well, we don't want to miss out on it. I mean, they certainly don't need the money. I mean, I think there was talks of, 350 or 400 million each once they went straight into it and stuff like that. Daniel Levy's looking at that. He's looking at the last year. He's looking at the stadium. He's looking at the loss of profits. He's looking at everything else. He's thinking, well, 400 million, go into a Super League. Why not? Happy days. But I do wonder, though, if a part of Sky were reacting the way they were and stuff like that because they didn't have the TV rights to it and stuff. And they weren't asked and that's the only thing I would consider because, yes, it's wrong. It goes against the fans and everything else. But if Sky were involved in it, because let's not forget, it wasn't too long ago they wanted to charge you $14.99 to watch Burnley and someone else and pay-per-view, you know,
yeah, but these are pundits, though, Gary. These are ex-professional Premier League footballers. So surely, you know, their opinion does matter, and it certainly does count.
I just think with the whole thing with Sky and stuff, I just think, well, maybe it's because they weren't told about it and they weren't involved and, you know, they weren't going to make a big amount of money out of it. But you're right, with Gary Neville and stuff like that, you could see when he was talking about Man United in the stadium outside and what little they've done outside and inside, I thought it was amazing. It was brilliant. And you could tell that was passionate. I mean, the way he done it and then dropped the mic, it was amazing. But Sky is a business and stuff, and I think Sky were probably peed off because they thought, well, hang on a second, there's a lot of money to be made here and we've not even been consulted about it. So there's things we're never going to know about it. You know, it doesn't look like it's going to go ahead anyway. And like I said to you earlier, if Tottenham are last to leave, we've won it. So the thing is,
we're all against it, 100%. But can I sit here now and put my hand on my heart and say if it went ahead, that I would not watch that? I wouldn't subscribe to any other channel just to watch it, by the way.
Yeah.
But if it was on Sky, can I put my hand on my heart and say I would not watch one of those games that Spurs were in out of, you know, a solidarity, if you like? And I can't. Yeah. That's the sad thing. And, you know, shame on me for thinking that. But that's what it would need. But then again, would you be adding to it by watching it, or would it not matter? Let me just read you what Jordan Henderson tweeted. We don't like it if we don't like it and we don't want it to happen. This is our collective position. Our commitment to this football club and its supporters is absolute and unconditional. You will never walk alone. And that's what Jordan Henderson's tweeted. So fair play.
It is.
Absolutely. So,
the football family as a whole, you know, it's unite everyone. You know, I don't want Spurs to get benefit from this. I want us to win on merit, you know, by investing correctly, getting the money for sales of the stadium, doing it the right way. I don't want our great reputation to be tarnished by this. There's greed and our owner being a flipping, you know, all carried out his pocket.
It's not even a sport if you can't get relegated and you can't lose.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. It's all just revolved around money, didn't it? It was nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. But I mean, if all them other teams were in that Super League and Tottenham wasn't invited and we wasn't in that, how would we have felt as fans if Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea and all the others had been in it and we weren't?
Well,
do you know what, Gary?
Win the league, though, wouldn't we?
I'll answer that, Gary. When I heard about this rumour about 6 teams, you know, going in it from England, I was actually hoping that Spurs weren't one of those teams.
Yeah, you were hoping, yeah.
As soon as I saw the badge, I was like, no. I felt sick. I really did. We
was always going to be one of them teams that went in there, weren't we? I mean, with Daniel
always going to be. Yeah.
You know,
the thing is so frustrating with this whole situation. You've got a billionaire owner in Joe Lewis who's sitting in the Bahamas. Instead of spending it, he's counting it. So it's so frustrating. I know, obviously, Daniel's underneath him, but he's got the money there. If he really, truly loved Tottenham like we do, he would invest some of that money, not sit in his blooming yacht on the Thames, and actually start getting some real players in and start making this great club challenging for the major honours. Because, like I said on previous chats, I don't want to just sit there and taste it. I want to experience everything. I want to hear we are the champions playing through the tannoys and us living the league above our heads. FA Cups again, Champions League. And the only way you do that by doing it the right way, investing, selling players on and getting better players in their places.
Do you remember when Crouch scored the Etihad to see us in the Champions League? You'll never get that again, would you?
Moments like that.
You know, I remember that. That was like goosebumps.
The Ajax one again. Yeah, definitely.
It's just, you've got to have that buzz. You've got to have it, or else what point is there? You know, this isn't America.
It's gone, isn't it? It's just
this isn't America. It's England.
No. And them Champions League nights where you play Real Madrid and all that, you know, and then the next week you play in Burnley or whatever. That's what makes it.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing, isn't it?
In fact, you can beat Madrid and lose to Burnley.
Well, yeah,
You know?
we normally do.
Yeah, that's so Spurs.
When
Yeah,
that Champions League anthem starts ringing and you're in that stadium, the goosebumps that I feel as a fan hearing that alone, the players themselves, my goodness.
I don't know about you lot, but Champions League nights at Tottenham, in evening kickoff and stuff, when that music starts and the lights, there's nothing like. I mean, I love the North Derby and everything else, but them Champions League games at night, they're amazing, aren't they?
It's a novelty of it, though, isn't it? You know, if you're having them every other week, you can't have banter down the pub. You don't go down the pub and bump into a couple of AC Milan fans and have a bit of banter with them, can you? You know, I can go down the local and get abused by a couple of gooners or a few West Ham fans. I wouldn't see any Juventus fans or Madrid fans.
No,
you know, it's all wrong. No.
Paul, let's come back to you. AJ's 1988 writes a comment here. My 85-year-old granddad, a lifelong Spurs fan, was nearly in tears in the fact that our club's history and heritage could be sold for a £1 note. That hurts me. Daniel Levy, we do not forgive or forget. This is going to leave quite a bitter taste in a lot of fans' mouths. This whole Super League thing, isn't it? Even if it doesn't go ahead.
Definitely. Well, I was hoping that we'll see the same kind of scenes as us as Tottenham fans, either at Wembley on Sunday, or when we could get back down to the ground again. Because I wouldn't endorse it. I was totally against it. And all Daniel Levy's morals, like you say, Chris. He said he loves the club. He's through and through it, but he's not shown any thing in our eyes that he is. It's just money with them, isn't it? But
it's not just about. It's not just about our board, it's about the other 5 UK boards as well, the other English teams. Why on earth do they make these decisions, these clubs, without even consulting the fans, of asking the fans exactly what we want?
Because they know the answer, don't they? They know that we'll be against it, and it's like, oh, well, 2 things up to you guys. We're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Because like you say, the Spurs, bless them, were quick to put out reminders of season ticket renewals before this announcement came up. And it's wrong. It is wrong. Don't get me wrong, Chris. I'll go and support Spurs again when we're allowed back in the stadium, give my all, lose my voice, go home hopefully not disappointed. But, I just can't stand to see my great club tarnished in the way it has been in everyone else's eyes. I don't want to go to away grounds and have all the fans jeering us, saying you're money grabbing, beat.
No.
As us, as the fans, it's, the board members. They should take total insults, and they should be made to feel bad because they'll be in their limos or out the back, hiding away, not giving a care in the world. And there'd be the likes of you and us getting abused and shouted at and jeered at every away ground, saying you're money grabbing, you're a disgrace. And it's not fair because we feel exactly the same as they do,
Yeah, you're right. 100% right.
Is this Levy do you reckon, been on these meetings, or do you reckon Joe Lewis or somebody else on the board? It's got to be Levy, isn't it?
I think Levy.
Yeah. It's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah, Levy. Yeah.
Craig, Sue writes here, the silence from Tottenham Hotspur FC is deafening. You would expect Tottenham to make an announcement soon, wouldn't you? And you'd expect some sort of explanation of why they wanted to do it. And, just talk to the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just having a look here on Twitter. Man City have put an official thing out now. They've come out. So it is official. We will be last. But I did hear mixed reports that Arsenal had pulled out, but I haven't heard anything. That was from one source.
No, I've not heard, but I think we'll be last. We'll 100% be last.
The funny thing is, it's the American owners, isn't it? The Liverpool, Manchester United, and Kroenke is American, and Kroenke is American, isn't he? I think, is he American?
Yeah, I think
Kroenke is. Yeah.
To save a bit of face, as you said, I think it would have been great if we'd been first to pull out. I mean, shouldn't have been in it at all. As you say, Paul, it's the fans that are going to get the abuse when 99.9% of Tottenham fans are against this.
Yeah,
and like you
I don't actually know anybody that is. I can see the financial logic, and it would be difficult if somebody comes up to you and says, "Here's £350 million. This is what we're doing." How could you possibly say no? And I guarantee, if any other club had been asked in our place, I bet you if you'd asked West Ham, the Golden Sullivan, but if they'd been asked, they'd have said yes, they'd have been in it.
Yeah,
I bet so. I bet 3 unnamed clubs that obviously were invited that kept quiet, probably rubbing their hands together now. They're like, oh, we got out of that one, didn't we? Because no one's going to know that we wanted an opportunity to it, and obviously it all kicked off. So
that's right. I mean, possibly Leicester. Who would it be? Leicester, West Ham, and perhaps West Ham. I don't know. I don't know who else has got money in the
Definitely would be
Premier
Leicester,
League.
wouldn't it? Leicester, Everton, maybe, possibly.
Everton have got a few quid, haven't they?
Even Aston Villa, maybe. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, Leeds have got a lot of money behind them actually.
Yeah.
Now, so stranger things have happened.
Well, you mentioned Leeds earlier, and I had a conversation with a Chelsea fan earlier. He messaged me. He said, "This Super League goes ahead, Gal. Who are you going to follow?" And I said, "Well, to go to the games, I'd probably watch Fulham because they're closest to me. But on TV, I'd probably support Leeds. Because for me, Leeds do entertaining football, and Fulham would be my local club. So,
I mean, my friend was shot on Woking, so I'd have gone a bit more local, like grassroots.
Did any of you generally think this Super League would go ahead? I think it was pretty apparent within a few hours this wasn't going to happen. It was just too much of an uproar.
I don't know, because I heard from, I can't actually remember, from Sky. I think it was Carve. What's his face? He'd said,
isn't it?
Yes, he'd said that he'd spoke to some board member at one of the clubs, and they were prepared for the backlash, and they didn't care, quite frankly, which is shocking. They knew it was going to be a massive backlash, but they don't care. They were prepared for it. It's going ahead. The paperwork's been signed. That's it. It's at an advanced stage.
Wow.
It's going to happen. They don't care. They would prefer this is what done it for me, as I said earlier. They would prefer players to feel, or teams to feel, weakened teams in the Premier League to concentrate on the midweek games. That's disgusting.
Yeah, I heard that.
That is absolutely insulting to everything.
They must have known that they were going to upset people, but they probably didn't realise how many people and how many organisations that they were going to upset this much. Now, Brad Matthews writes an excellent comment here. Lost count of how many Tottenham Hotspur Football Club surveys I've done asking about things like what shaped chips did I eat in the ground, but never a question about the Super League. I couldn't agree more. So many surveys come out of Spurs, but never ever a question about the Super League. Why is that, Gary?
Oh, it's just absolute madness, isn't it? I mean, I don't even know what to make of it with the whole Super League thing and stuff. I just think we got to a point with football now, and it was, I remember Sundays you'd watch the games on BBC One, wouldn't you? You get all the games, and it just seemed, as the years have gone by, it's become more and more and more and more about money.
Revenue.
I said a point earlier to someone. They said to me, "Would you ever get a Tottenham tattoo, Gary? I'm covered in tattoos head to toe." And I said, "I wouldn't, because in 10 years' time, if the money was right, probably Levy would appoint Sol Campbell as the Tottenham manager, and then I'd have Tottenham on my back." You don't know. We eat, sleep, breathe Tottenham Hotspur. I have since for the last 40 odd years. But as horrible as it sounds, they don't really care about us. They don't, and that's
it's very sad, isn't it, Gary? It's very sad. It's very sad. And probably this is even more sad, because I said to a Chelsea fan earlier, he goes, "Oh well, I'm not going to support my club and all that." And I said, "Well, if this Super League goes ahead, I will still support Tottenham, because I can't not support them. They're my club, so." Yeah. I'm going to have to watch them put out strong teams in the Super League and then rest players in the Premier League. And I'm still going to support them. I'm not going to be happy about it, but they're my club. I can't change who I supported since day one.
Gary, I'll tell you what. Just going back on what you said about Campbell. We bought a cat, right? And we called it Soul. And literally 2 weeks after that, we sold him to Arsenal. And by that time, the cat answered to his name, so he couldn't even change it. So,
I would say, Judas, come here, Judas.
Yeah. But I put an R in front of it.
My cat is called Sissoko, but that's because he's got 2 left feet. So, that is my cat's name.
Really?
Well, Craig, you're absolutely right. Manchester City have made a club statement, but every time I've tried to go on it, it is just crackling. So I can't even read the statement out. It's had 41,000 likes so far in just 10 minutes. So that's why it's crashed. So it must be good news, and they must be confirming that they are out of the Super League.
Chris, tomorrow at lunchtime, Tottenham will be the last team, and then you'll post up your YouTube video and I'll watch it. It'll be around about 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Tottenham will be the very last team. It's just the Tottenham way. It's what they're like,
Well, we've got a game tomorrow, so it'll probably be the next day, actually.
I forgot about that little game, Southampton.
Has anybody heard if the fans in Italy and Spain are the same as the English fans, like absolutely up in arms. I haven't heard a thing, you know.
No, I'm
There's
not
been
seeing
no
nothing,
peak
if
on
I'm
that
honest with
side,
you.
has there?
No, it's strange.
There's
It's
not
very
been
strange.
much. It's all been sort of in England, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange.
Paul, let's come to you. Gary Pearce writes here, guys, I've just seen a short 4-minute video on the Spurs official channel on Twitter, and all the players are smiling. Ryan Mason already has the players on side. Thoughts?
Yeah, totally agree. From what I saw earlier on, when I saw the collage of the montage of the training, as I said to you previously, Sonny was smiling, which is great to see, because when you know Sonny's smiling, so are the rest of the players, and so can we. So it's good to see they're all having a bit of a banter and they're all having a laugh. As I said, people want to come into work with a smile on their face, because let's be fair, if in our own walks of way of life, if you're in a job you're not happy with, you're not going to perform, or you want to get out, or you're going to do whatever you can to, you know, get the, unfortunately, the manager, like you said previously, will get the sack, not the players. Players do have the power, so to speak. I'm sure there were many discussions between the board and the players of what they thought was going on and the vision of the club under Mourinho. We'll never know that, but, you know, they're not stupid. They know when players are happy, when they're not. And so, you know, as long as we can keep Kane and Sonny and invest and get the right players in and right manager in next year, go again, like we always say, you know, we'll be in full competitions, hopefully. If we meant to get into Europe, I don't know. If, again, is it through the Carabao Cup we get into? Is it the Europa Conference League? Is that a new one starting next season? I remember you saying, Chris.
Yeah, if we win the Carabao Cup, we will go into this new competition called the Europa Conference League. Of course, if we don't get that European spot in the Premier League, you know, but we've got to win that competition obviously on Sunday against Manchester City. But it'll be interesting times. It'll be interesting to see if we do get in that competition. Let's get into the preview of the Southampton game. Of course, will take place on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We are currently 7th in the Premier League. We've played 32, we've won 14, drawn 8, lost 10. Goal difference of plus 17, have 50 points. We're 5 points away from the top 4. We've got Chelsea, West Ham, Liverpool, Everton all around us, above us and below us. Craig, let's start with you. Southampton at home. Ryan Mason's first game in charge of these 6 Premier League matches. How do you see this game going?
I think it's going to be the new manager bounce. I think we're going to be playing attacking football back to what we know and love, and I think I'm just feeling really confident at the moment, quite buoyant to be honest with you. So I just think we're going to win the game by a couple of goals. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to keep a clean sheet. I'll just say I think we're going to win it by a couple of goals. So it could be 10-8.
You've got more chance to win the lottery, I think.
Exactly. You know, we all know what the defence is like, but you know, how many times do you see it where the players get that? We've said it 100 times. New manager bounce. That bounce, spring in his step. There's undoubtedly going to be somebody come in tomorrow, perhaps 1 or 2 players that haven't had a run.
Yeah,
my money's on perhaps Bale having an hour. See how he gets on. And if you see Gareth Bale removed after an hour, you know he's going to be in for Sunday. Delhi wouldn't surprise me at all if we see that the old Fab Four up front. So pretty confident we're going to get a result tomorrow, Chris, and it will be a good result.
I completely agree with everything you've just said there, Craig. I think that Dele Alli will be featuring and Gareth Bale as well. And I think that Ryan Mason will give the Spurs fans exactly what we want to see. And let's hope that happens, and let's hope that we get the 3 points. Gary, let's come to you. Southampton at home tomorrow. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, confident. Really, really confident. Literally everything Craig said. Look, I think, like he said, I mean, I just echo what he said. I think Bale will play. Dele Alli will play. I think Kane will be rested, though, tomorrow, won't he? I'm pretty sure. And he'll
I think so.
I think he's injured. I think he's still injured.
Yeah, so maybe Kane will be rested tomorrow. But I can only see a win, and I can only see. I mean, let's be honest. I think it's the perfect team to play Southampton. I mean, you know, they let goals in. Let's be honest about it. I think that we went up to theirs, beating 5-2. I mean, that second half was absolutely amazing. I mean, that actually what you pressed on earlier. That was one of the other good highlights of Mourinho, was that second half against Southampton, because that was some second half, wasn't it? I think we went in. Did we go in 1-1? Was it 1-1 at half time?
I think it was. Do you know what? Do you know what, Garrett? That feels like a very long time ago. It doesn't even feel like the season.
I think we may have gone 1 down and we leveled it 1-1. I can't, but I'm sure it was 1-1. And the second half, I remember us coming, and I wasn't feeling overly confident. And then that second half, and I think if you look at Southampton's season and how many goals they conceded and they've lost by big, as we well know, I think it's going to be. And you know what? I never go for a clean sheet, but I think with the manager coming in and the lift and everything else, I'm going to go all out, and I think it's going to be an entertaining, convincing 3-0 win. Ooh, I honestly believe it. Yeah, I do. And I think partly because of the manager, but partly because we're playing Southampton and also we're at home. And I think, and also earlier in the season, knowing that we put 5 past them, you know, I think all of that just shouts out a big home winner 3-0 for me, 100%. I'm almost certain of it. Very, very confident. So,
Paul, are you feeling confident as well?
I was thinking 3-1. I think there'll be goals from the front four, but again, it's just that defence. Hope it's not, errors by the defence, giving away penalties, handballs, silly, pass backs, something, or a VAR decision that goes against us that, we know damn well wasn't, but it was kind of thing, And,
we'll just rest Sanchez tomorrow. We'll be fine.
or get Taganga and Toby there, and then I would like to see Reguilon get on the score sheet. I think, he needs a goal to get his confidence going again. Obviously Steve Bergwijn I'd like to see playing.
I think when you mentioned there, I think we'll see Toby. I think Toby will be in for the rest of all the games now. Southampton Cup final and the rest of all the games. I think Toby will play every one. I'm certain of it.
Interesting point there, Gary, because of course we've got this Carabao Cup final on Sunday. Now, if Jose Mourinho is in charge, we'd all be sitting here saying, what do you think his tactics are going to be? What do you think he's going to do? Who do you think he's going to play in this game? Who is going to rest for the cup final? Ryan Mason's come in, and fair play to him. He's got an awful lot to do this week. A huge week, to come in. This cup final on Sunday. What does Ryan Mason do? Does he rest a couple of players?
I think though, Chris, with the Ryan Mason situation, I think it's very different to Jose Mourinho. I don't think he has anything to prove. I don't think he's under any pressure. Or, with Jose Mourinho, when he came into Tottenham, he had a lot of pressure on him and a lot to prove, and he started very well. But as we saw, the pressure got too much, and he lost the dressing room. With Ryan Mason, he's got a cup final and 6 league games. It's a free fall. He's got, I don't think there's any pressure on him. If we lose the cup final and we don't have a great result tomorrow, is everyone going to point the finger at Ryan Mason? They're not. They're still going to blame Mourinho for what he did to the team this season. So for me, I think he's got a free card, and I think because of that, He'll pick an attacking team, and we'll go out and we'll go for it. Like what Craig said, but like how Leeds play. And I think we'll do good attacking football, and it'll be like the Tottenham we've seen. And I think we'll get a good win. So I don't think there is any pressure on Ryan. I might be wrong, but me personally, I don't think he's under a lot of pressure. If I'm honest with you, I think he's kind of got a free hit in a way. Obviously we want to win the cup final, but if we don't win it, are we going to blame Ryan Mason? Don't think we are at all. So,
the point I was trying to make, Craig, let's come to you. Now, of course, we want to win that cup final on Sunday. It's going to be a very hard task against Manchester City, who, of course, are flying higher on top of the Premier League. But this is a very important game tomorrow in the Premier League against Southampton. We have to win. We have to win this match. So does Ryan Mason put out the best possible 11 that he's got available to him? Does he rest any players, ahead of Sunday? Do you think that the lineup that he does put out on Wednesday against Southampton will be a very similar one on Sunday?
I think he's going to go strong tomorrow, to be honest, purely because it's still a must-win game. But I think you'll see us perhaps try and go for it and get the game won within the first half, 60 minutes, and then take off the big players, the Bales, the Son.
100%.
The interesting thing for me will be who he puts up front, because Kane ain't going to play tomorrow. Very much, even if he's fit. Why would you risk him?
No, you've got to put Vinicius in personally.
Vinicius, you think? Yeah,
I would do, because obviously you've got him in as a second striker for this reason. When Harry wasn't playing, they obviously saw something in him initially to say that he could do the job, and then have obviously the winger supporting him with his crosses, and then Dele maybe behind Vinicius feeding him as well. Just my opinion, but that's why you got me in the first place. I know we keep hearing that, when Kane's playing, these players can't step up. Now he is off the pitch and resting. Hopefully they can now, and why not?
We all know what sort of passes Toby Alderweireld can do and what Bell can do. So
it wouldn't surprise me. That was the only position that I would think. Do they is he going to go perhaps with a safer pair of hands, if you like, and perhaps put Son up there or even Mora, but will be interesting to see. He might completely change it, but Dane Scarlett up, but I think he's injured actually saying that, isn't he? So that would perhaps be a bit of a gamble to do that. But, I wouldn't, let's give Vinicius a chance. And then, there's enough players knocking on the door now to come in and change the game. Let's face it, you got Bale on the pitch, you got Son on the pitch, you got Ali on the pitch. Enough creativity there. So I think he'll go strong. I think he'll hope for get the game won early, 3-0 up.
I just feel a bit sad that obviously Skippy's doing so well at Norwich and not back in the club. You then got Ryan Sessegnon on out loan. These youth players or the youth of the team, with Ryan Mason in the helm now, we've probably got more of a chance under Ryan than they would do with Mourinho. But it'd be nice to see them still in the club to obviously give them chances as well. But hopefully next season that will happen for them both.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the stat read on Sky that we've got the third or fourth oldest squad in the Premier League, but also under Mourinho, as many people said he'd give youth a chance. We were right at the bottom of the list of the amount of youngsters that he'd bought. He had actually given them minutes to. Yeah, surprised me because I thought it'd be more. It was on a Sky report yesterday. I can't remember where I read it exactly, but yeah, apparently that's true.
Yeah.
Craig, let's stay with you. Southampton are 14th in the Premier League. They've played 31. They've won 10, drawn 6, lost 15, got 36 points. Now, since returning to the top flight in 2012, Spurs have won 12 of the 17 Premier League meetings. Southampton have lost 9 out of their last 10 visits to Spurs. Now, Gary said there, it's probably the perfect game, perfect opponent in Southampton. These are games that Tottenham Hotspur have to win and should win, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You've got to be beating, with all due respect to Southampton, you've got to be beating Southampton at home.
Yeah.
They've got 1 or 2 players that I think can hurt you. Obviously, Prowse, we can't be giving away free kicks.
Yeah.
Do you remember, what was it last year? He got a couple of free kicks against us, or at least one quality dead ball specialist. And I would go so far and say corners as well, because he can't half whip them in. And we're not particularly good at defending corners. We're even worse at scoring from corners. I know. But,
can't get past the first man, can we?
Yeah. Well, no, Ericsson was the best at that. I will say, as much as I love,
don't remind me of that. God.
As much as I love Christian Eriksen, he could not take a corner. We've got to be beating Southampton tomorrow, Chris. And as I say, I'm actually quite confident, and I probably wouldn't have been a Jose been here. And I think what actually would have been even better for us is if the fans are in, because can you imagine that atmosphere tomorrow night? Yeah, it'd
be great, wouldn't it?
The fact the fans have probably got majority have probably got what they wanted with Mourinho gone, and it's again such a shame that the fans ain't in, but hopefully that'll change very soon.
We'll be cheering from our lounges and shouting at the TV and cheering up. Well, the neighbours must hate me when we're live because I'm always shouting and windows are open.
I think the other positive
off again.
That's what done it
tomorrow. Is if we get any free kicks, at least Harry Kane won't take them. We can get Gareth Bale to take instead of
Bale to take
instead of Dyer or Harry. I don't know why Harry Kane's on free kicks. I just don't. Just give them to Gareth Bale or even Son. Why don't Son do free kicks? I just don't understand.
Perhaps that will change now.
A good one.
Maybe that will change. Get Gareth Bale on a few free kicks because he's pretty decent, isn't he?
Yeah.
He scored plenty before, didn't he?
Gary, let's come to you. Colin writes on screen now. Do you think that some kind of European Super League will start in the end if the big money men threaten to pull their funds out of the teams?
I think it's done now. I think that's it. It's nothing's happening now, I'm afraid. No. I think, they tested the water with that. And the backlash, I don't think for a minute they thought it would be anything as bad as what it was. I think you can forget anything with a Super League or anything like that. It's done. And like I said to you, the last team to come out and say they're withdrawing will be Tottenham Hotspur because that's just Tottenham. But that's dead in the water now. That's my opinion anyway. I think it's done now. That's it. Yeah.
Why change something that's not broken? It all
exactly.
Works for the Europa League, Champions League. My only one thing, if I change anything, it would be that if you won the FA Cup, that's another qualifying game for the Champions League because I think the FA Cup is so prestigious. It should be you can qualify through that way as well. But,
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree. And it would stop teams putting out lesser teams and resting players and all that goes with the FA Cup, because a lot of the big teams don't really give it enough respect, do they? So that would stop that. So I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Last
Chris,
few questions,
mate. What's your one? What's that, Paul? What's your views on obviously we've all done ours. What's yours for obviously Southampton in the final, mate? What you're thinking?
Yeah.
We're going to come on to that. We're going to come on to that. We're going to talk We're going to talk about managers first, then we're going to do score predictions for both games.
He's doing a Daniel Levy. He wants to be last. That's what he's doing.
No. Do you know, Gary? Last week I was saying after the Everton game, I said the Southampton game would be a 1-1 draw, and I think I'm going to change my mind. Yeah. So I'm going to go for a win now. I'm certainly going to go for a win. Now I've got an email here from William Hill, and they're giving me the latest odds of Spurs managers. Now I just want your opinions of who you would like as next Tottenham Hotspur boss, because Nagelsmann is favourite at 3-1, Brendan Rodgers is 5-1, Nuno Espirito Santo is 8-1, Rafa Benitez 9-1, and Scott Parker and Eddie Howe at 10-1. Do you fancy any of those? Craig, let's start with you.
As I said, Nagelsmann for me would be my personal choice. I wouldn't go for Benitez personally. He doesn't inspire me. I think Scotty Parker, I really like him, but I think it's just too big a job for him at the moment. Could be in a few years' time, but I think it's just a bridge too far for him at the moment. Brendan Rodgers, probably my second choice because he's been in the Premier League. I wouldn't choose him personally. The one man I'd want is not on that list, funny enough. So, but out of the ones you listed there, Chris, I'd go for Nagelsmann.
Who would you like not on that list?
Mauricio Pochettino.
That's in the
No. Do you know what? A few years ago, I'd have loved to see Jurgen Klinsmann as our manager, actually, because I like the style of football he played. Yeah. I think Hoddle at the time actually knows so much about football. I think the players he had to work with just didn't get what he was talking about. And I know he went a little bit funny his time with England, but I think Hoddle's got a lot to give, and he loves the club. Would it be worth giving Hoddle another go? I don't know enough about what he's, as he certainly hasn't managed lately, but and Jurgen Klinsmann, I don't know what he's doing now, but let's face it, we had one of the best managers in the world, and we let him go. And to be fair, he'd probably come into that time, but we're going over old ground talking about whether he was backed, what happened. But the one thing that done it for me, when Poch left, you saw the outpouring from the players, and people say it was the same players that threw him under the bus and didn't perform. A majority of that squad came out and said goodbye to him. Thanks for everything. The message he left on the board for the team, that was incredibly sad, that Jesus Perez put up. Compare that to what we talked about earlier about the Mourinho ones. I saw one from Højbjerg. I saw one from Kane. I saw one from
Sonny, wasn't it?
There was Son. There was Dyer. There was Moura. I listed them all. There was I think 6 players.
That's his 6 players that played almost every game. So it just speaks volumes for me. So
I think Dave Scarlett, he put something out as well, didn't he? I think that was
a lot of these, and they won't be running their own social media accounts, will they? So,
but even Daniel Levy's statement. Sorry, Craig. Even Daniel Levy's statement wasn't exactly heartfelt compared to Poch's. You really felt that this was a decision that he didn't want to do. And it was, like he said, heart over head kind of thing, because we all love Poch. I still love him and want to see him back. And I just hope that in a few more years' time, he brings Mbappe with him, Neymar, and gets on board. When Kane goes and Son goes, we got them ready made.
Can you imagine, Craig, that Mauricio Pochettino lives the Champions League with PSG, and then in the summer he feels like, well, that's it, job done, need a new challenge, comes back to Spurs.
Well, I said to you, Chris, didn't I, a few months ago? Do you remember we were talking? He only signed that contract with PSG for 1.5 years, so he'll actually only have a year left in the summer.
Yeah, blimey.
Now, it's not going to happen. I can't see it happening, but stranger things have happened.
You never know in football.
You never know. And if Nagelsmann said no, thank you very much, but I'd rather go to Bayern, and that's a possible. Who else is out there? Rodgers, I just don't think. I don't think he'd leave Leicester at the moment, from what he was saying earlier. Yeah. So Benitez, as I say, he wouldn't certainly be a fan's favourite. No. So who else is there? And You never know.
sorry
You never know.
mentions.
You know. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Gary, let's come to you. What sort of manager do Tottenham go for next in the summer? Because of course, when you look at Maurizio Pochettino and then you look at Jose Mourinho, you've had one of the best coaches out there. You've then had a serial winner in.
Yeah.
We've had both types of manager. What do we do next?
Well, that's the $1 million question and I think that's why we've put Ryan Mason in for now, because where do you go at this point from Jose Mourinho? You've got rid of Poch, you brought in Jose Mourinho, serial winner. 18 months later, you sacked him. So what do Tottenham do? So I think what Tottenham do is they keep Ryan Mason in to the end of the season. We win the Carabao Cup, we get European football, and then we sign the Leipzig manager in the summer. I don't think we can do anything else. I mean, listen, I like Scott Parker. I do really like him, but it's like what Craig said. The job's too big for him at the moment. He's a lovely bloke. I love his passion for the football. But let's be honest, he's with a team that are more than likely going to get relegated. It's not really the manager you want to take on, is it? You know. And Brendan Rodgers, for me, just a personal thing. I don't like Brendan Rodgers. I just don't like him. I mean, he's done well, don't get me wrong, but my personal, I wouldn't want Brendan Rodgers there. Definitely not. So for me, I think we stick with Ryan Mason, and in the summer the deal's done with the Leipzig manager, and that's it. And that will be our next manager. Who else can you get apart from, like you said, you know, you get Poch back in a year or so? I think that will probably be the next couple of moves for Tottenham. I don't know. So it's a tough one, isn't it?
A couple of people keep mentioning this to me. Graham Potter. Keith writes now on screen. Graham Potter, his team played great football. What do you think of Graham Potter?
Snocks. No, not Graham Potter. No, that's not for me.
That says it all, doesn't it?
Those of you who used to watch Phoenix Nights, I'd rather have Brian Potter than
more entertaining.
Yeah.
Who do you want, Paul?
Well, to be fair, Chris, whoever does come in, first and foremost, they got to see the vision of the club, who they're going to be, how they're going to be backed pretty much before anyone comes in. Because, like you say, where do you go from Poch to Mourinho? This one has to be right, i.e., knows the structure of the club, identifies players, money available, who's in, who's out before they get even in that door. Otherwise, we could be sitting in 4 or 5 years' time saying, wish we could have had them, had this. You know, I really want to see us make a right decision in the summer, have a good, hard look at managers, identifying right players, and then really pushing on next summer and then the next season and on and so forth. But Nagelsmann, for me, I think for his age, like you say, for Leipzig, his tackling ability, you know, front foot, you know, Sabitzer could possibly come as well. And then it's then obviously all, you know, weaknesses, showing up the defence a bit more quality. But yeah, making sure they identify the right person first and foremost, vision of the club, what's needed from the players and the scouting network, like I said previously, speaking to, that's my biggest concern. The recruitment side, I've never highlighted enough in my eyes. Steve Hitchen went to Inter Milan, had chats with all the representatives, you know, Skriniar. We need to be getting quality players in, and if they can't get them, we're getting like second best. Then you then have to question the board and the management internally as well, and say,
we never get that player that we want. You're right.
No.
We never get the player that we want. We always kind of just make do, don't we? And that's a big issue for Tottenham. That's, you know, that needs to be addressed. You can go with the lift,
can't you? The Dybala's, the Skriniars, the Fernandez's. Even when Aguero was
Dybala, there was talks of Dybala, everything.
Yeah,
you know.
38 million Levy paid or wanted to pay for Aguero back 10, 12 years ago, and I just loved it, thinking, well, that's just purely just to make, look, where's the Spurs? We're trying to get someone of Aguero's quality. Knowing damn well it was never going to happen, but it's just to try and please the fans, like, oh, well, we tried for him. You know? But I want to make sure, Nagelsmann, if it's him, back him 100% to the fullest. So Nagelsmann for me, and then Pochi, you know, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, I think that's what will happen. I do.
But now whoever comes in, need to be back.
We've spoken about the Southampton game tomorrow. I just want to talk a little bit about the cup final on Sunday. Craig, let's start with you. How confident are you feeling that Tottenham will lift the trophy, the first domestic trophy in 13 years?
I feel a bit more confident than I did last time we spoke, actually, and that's purely because Jose's gone. And I know I said earlier, I might sound like I'm contradicting myself here, that I don't think it puts us in a stronger or weaker position, the fact that Ryan Mason's now in charge. But I just think it it's given everybody a lift. The fans, you could. I was thinking about what I said to you earlier, Chris, about what I thought about Mourinho going, and I genuinely feel like a massive cloud had been lifted that had been hovering over me for a few months when I heard he'd gone. And if I felt like that, then do the rest of the players feel like that? So because I am. I'm a typical Tottenham fan, and I've been influenced by Mr. Cowlin now for a few months. I'm going to go for a squeaker 1-0 ugly, horrible Tottenham win on Sunday against Manchester City. And
don't you blame me?
I'm blaming you for it. We are going to lift that trophy on Sunday because it would be the most Spurs thing ever to go through what we've been through this season, football-wise. And to win a trophy and have a
okay.
See what happens when you talk about Tottenham winning trophies.
Second game. My internet went there. Sorry. I don't know where I got to there, but we're going to win 1-0. We're going to win 1-0, and Ryan Mason's going to be the youngest ever manager to lift in his second game in charge. He's going to. So, come on, you Spurs. Let's do it for once. Let's win 5-0. That'd be great. That'd take the pressure off.
It would just be it would just make us all feel so good though, Craig, wouldn't it? Just to lift this trophy, because it has been far too long. I know I jokingly go on about trophies a lot, but 13 years. I was talking to former goalkeeper Paul Robinson the other day. And when I said to him, it's been 13 years since you last lifted that trophy, he couldn't believe that it was 13 years, and he was there in the final. It's just too long for us fans to be without success, isn't it?
Crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's, I think I'm probably the oldest one on this chat, but I'm 47, and I remember 81 and 82. In fact, 81 was probably, I was 8 years old. It was just when I started really getting into it, and I remember that. I remember 82. I remember Chaz and Dave, the Chaz and Dave song. Oddly enough, the best one was 1987 when we lost. But those days, the 80s from 81 to 91, and of course, at the time we held the record, didn't we, with 8 wins?
Yeah, 8 wins. In the most successful cup. Yeah.
And I remember I write quizzes occasionally for friends. I've done a fair few of them, and I put that in. And I thought, which English side has won the FA Cup the most times? And I had Spurs down as the answer, but I was about 10 years out of date because I thought, oh Christ, Man U have overtaken us now, or Chelsea, or whatever it is. So
Woolwich have done 14 times.
Jesus Christ.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
30 years since an FA Cup. If you'd said that to me in '91, when Gascoigne done his knee and then that final and everything was against us, and yet we somehow won that. I mean, even that wasn't easy. That wasn't easy. So we never do anything easy.
Semi in the final, Craig, and
really?
That season in the league, we were awful, and we had no chance in hell going through past Arsenal, because Arsenal obviously won the league that season. We was talking about going into receivership. Gascoigne was leaving. They didn't know who the owners were going to be. Tottenham were in dire straits. We won the semi. The final, we missed the penalty. Everything was going wrong.
Yeah, Lineker.
Paul Stewart got the equaliser, and then we went on and won it. I think it was a Des Walker own goal, wasn't it?
Headed it into his own net.
I mean, I was at that game. That was like a lifetime ago. When I was at that cup final and walking out there, I was winning that. I remember I had the yellow Holston shirt on. I did not think about I'd be on the Chris Cowlin YouTube channel 30 odd years later talking about it.
I had that shirt, but because of my age, we didn't have alcohol sponsorship on it then, so it was the same shirt minus Holston though.
I mean, I can remember back to what you said, the 81 and the 82. I think the 81 was an absolutely amazing cup final. The 82 was a bit more dull, but we still won it. But since then, I don't know what it's been. I think we've been a bit unlucky to a certain extent along the way. I think we've come close, obviously, Champions League final, but there's been other chances we've got to the semis. It's just not quite worked for us. But the one thing I'd say going into this game on Sunday is it's been quite a bad season in the league. We've sacked our manager, and normally when things go dreadful, going very bad for us in the league, Tottenham tend to win the cup.
I agree.
And the year does end in one, like Chaz and Dave sung about. So all of these things, and we are the underdogs, like we generally are, like 2008 against Chelsea, and and as you know, in them cup finals, I mean, I think in 91 it was an own goal. In 2008 it was he jumped up with the keeper and it bounced off the back of his. It was all these weird. Do you know what I mean? It was all these weird things that happened, and that's all that needs to happen on Sunday.
I will take a 1-0 win.
There looking down at us, it will happen, and I do.
Are we clutching, Gary? Because Manchester City are a fantastic side.
That's what
in previous weeks they've lost to Leeds United in the Premier League, and of course lost last weekend to Chelsea in the FA Cup.
10-men leads. 10
Plus they've got the semi-final of the Champions League as well, haven't they, to obviously prepare for as well on the Tuesday. So they might be taking that into consideration.
And listen, don't forget, we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season. I can recall quite well when Harry Winks was like, when the player got sent off and we was all, celebrating. And I think Lo Celso came on and scored within seconds. And it was at the City game,
that was the best. That was the best thing. Best thing Harry Winks has ever done for Tottenham. Though.
Wasn't it good the way he celebrated?
I don't know. The attempted cross that went in was quite good, even though he said he didn't mean it. I would have framed that. But
wasn't that the game in the All or Nothing documentary when Mourinho went in? He kind of hinted about getting one of their players sent off. He sort of said, he's on the yellow, and then they went out and Winks got him sent off, and it was perfect. Listen, that was good. Cup final, anything can happen.
It was. You were right. He went in, didn't he? He went. Zinchenko's got a yellow card. So-and-so's got a yellow card.
He basically said to Harry Winks,
I can't say what he said, but
go out there and get one of their players sent off, and we've got this game. And they did it.
Fantastic.
So, and I think we are Man City's bogey team.
We've done well against them. Jose Mourinho certainly did well against them in the home games. Yeah.
You've got to look at the preview.
Isn't it funny when we start talking about winning cups, it all goes pear-shaped, doesn't it? Paul, how are you feeling about it?
Confident now, Chris. At the beginning of the week, I was like, well, you can only see one winner now. Like you say, it's a one-off game. With Mourinho out the door and a new set of blooded professionals in charge at the helm, I'm going 2-1 Spurs. I think it'll be a close game, but I think 2-1 Tottenham in the end. I want to see, and I put this on the record, that if I want to see a fit Kane like he has been previously before the injury, don't play him if he's not going to be 100%, because we saw in the Champions League final, he was more. Offers more when he is fully fit than, putting him on for 25 minutes, he hurts it, and then he's out for the rest of the season. As much as I'd hate him to miss it, because out of all the players that we have at our club, like Lloris, they deserve to be lifting a trophy. But playing, if he is medically clear and there is 100% no issue with his ankle, then get him in the team. But 2-1 Tottenham, and I'll even put my neck out and maybe say, who am I going to say is going to score? I can see Dele. If Dele plays, and Bale, there you go.
Isn't it amazing that the fact that all four of us are about to predict a win tomorrow against Southampton? We're all predicting a win against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final on Sunday, and we've just sacked the serial winner who gets teams over the line. It's just incredible, isn't it?
It's mental. But Mourinho in or out, I genuinely thought at the start of the season, long before we got through, I said we'd win the Carabao Cup this season, and I'm certain of it. And I think we will win 2-0, and I think it will be Bale and Kane will score. And I've said that months ago. I do genuinely believe it.
Yeah. Chris, I'll just tell you now, if Mourinho had been in charge, my predictions would have been very different.
I agree.
I would have gone 1-1 tomorrow and 2-0 to City on Sunday, sadly. But
you can't deny the fact he was playing very, very defensive football.
Yeah, I always felt that when we went a goal up, we was never going to keep clean sheets. We was always going to concede. And that was the worst thing to ever feel from a Spurs fan, because, you normally think, okay, they score 2, we'll score 3 kind of thing. But every time we did score, we was always going to concede.
With Tottenham, it's the old saying, like, the best form of defence is attack. That's the best way for Tottenham. It's the only way we know. We can't sort of defend a 1-0 lead and play it around the defence. Because we lose the ball. We're as bad as Arsenal in defence, playing it back to the keeper. We've just got to go for the game, go all out, go for it. and we'll win the game, and that's it. Yeah, there's going to be mistakes and everything else. Of course, there is to Tottenham. There's going to be dodgy bits at the back. Lloris is going to drop a ball when it comes over as a corner. But I can see us winning it. I genuinely can. I think we will.
Just got the fans in there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Craig, just before we go, there's a question here for you. Who do you think that we will bring in player-wise in the summer?
That's a great one. I think there's kind of two answers, isn't there? There's who I'd like to get in and who I think will get in, and they're probably two very different things. Who do I think will get in? I think we'll get a couple of centre backs, a right back, and I'm hopeful of an attacking midfielder. To be honest, I think what you got to look at is the players coming back. I think Sessegnon's going to be coming back. I think Skip's going to be coming back.
Yeah, Skip.
Skip is an interesting one. I could make Skippy as though I know him. Oliver Skip is coming back. Because Mourinho loved him, didn't he? And whoever the new manager coming in, is he going to fancy Oliver Skip? And we're all hopeful that he's going to come in. But then again, if he's that good a player, and I haven't watched much of him at Norwich, I must be honest. But if he is that good, then he's going to impress whoever is the manager. So not many worries about that.
Norwich have been singing his praises. They do not want to let him go, do they, Norwich?
Yeah.
But again, it's giving the players a chance and consistently playing them, aren't they? Not in and out each week. I hate all this chopping and changing. It needs to be a consistent team first off for the very first game. And like back in the old England days, when you had the national team, you very rarely saw players changing. It was literally there was an injury, or like when it was Lineker and right up front, Shearer coming through the ranks, then he got his chance. We swap and change too much, like most Premier League clubs. I get it, but if you keep a nucleus of players together, they then get the camaraderie, they get the understanding of each other's abilities, and then you can just build from it. But we don't do that. We swap and change, and I can understand why.
What I will hope is, though, that this new manager is done and dusted by the beginning of June, because if this rattles on, how the hell are you supposed to be bringing in players specifically for the manager when you haven't got a manager?
No, you can't.
And then you're going to get Steve Itching going out and buying players who we think the club would want. No, let's stop that. It's the players that the manager wants. And I know you could argue Jose didn't get the players he wanted. Well, perhaps that's time to change and start. Speak to the manager, and if Nagelsmann comes in, perhaps he'll bring Sabitzer with him. Perhaps he'll bring any other player. He's a young manager. He's attacking, ferocious sort of style. I personally was gutted Timo Werner went to Chelsea. I know he's not been pulling up any trees at Chelsea, but as I've said on here many times, you cannot mark pace, and he's got pace to burn.
Quick.
And
that's when we was at our fourth break. I'm sorry, mate. When we had Bale and Lennon, we had pace. And teams hate pace. You can get behind them, you can put long balls in, but you can also go through them. Look what Bale did to Maicon. That pace, raw pace. We're missing. And also, Do
you think now Mourinho's, because one of the things I thought about when Mourinho got the sack, I probably only one personally thought this, but it made me think. I think Son and Kane are going to stay now. They're going to stay for another year at least. I think, bizarrely, by Mourinho being sacked, I think it almost keeps Son and Kane for another year. That was just my gut feeling. I don't know if it's more hope. But
I hope so.
I hope so. Is a new manager coming in. They want to be here when a new manager comes in. There's going to be a lot of changes. Did Harry Kane and Son go in and have a conversation with Levy? We'll never know. But did the players have a big influence on Mourinho being sacked? But for me, when Mourinho got his marching orders, I think it kind of cemented in my mind, we've got Son and Kane now, and they will definitely be with us next season. And I don't know if I would have been as confident if Mourinho had stayed. But that's just me personally, so.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. I agree with that.
Weird. Really weird.
I agree with that.
I think in that instance, go on, Chris.
I was going to say, I don't think there's any doubt at all that someone like Harry Kane didn't buy into everything Jose Mourinho was trying to do. I think that Harry Kane is just that type of character. I think he'd play and be on side for any manager, and you can't ever doubt that.
No.
Sorry, Paul, what were you going to say?
I think Sonny probably will stay. With Harry, though, it's a bit more. He wants to win things, and he's got that desire and determination to want to be the best. So I think he needs to see more vision from Daniel Levy, more enthusiasm, more his ability to go and attract the better players. I want to see him going out now and actually saying, right, Harry coming to the office, like, you know, a bit like what Van der Vaart did when he came in with Harry, and you know, leave you joking, I can get you these players. I think everybody wants to see more about what's going to be going on in the summer, and then obviously, hopefully,
but
we'll
it's
have
interesting,
a
because I wonder if that conversation did happen, you know, and because listen, I know for certain Daniel Levy holds Harry Kane up there, if not higher than Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
And you know, was he in that office with Daniel Levy? And Daniel Levy put the cards on the table and said, "Look, what's it going to take for you to stay?" And did Kane say, "Look, I'm happy with Mourinho, but a lot of the players aren't, and there's certain things that, you know, I've tried working with and I can't," and blah. And then the conversation happened, and then well, we know the outcome, you know, and that's why we're guaranteed Kane for another season, maybe. You know, the Leipzig manager comes in, you know, and maybe he wants to hang around for a bit longer and see what can happen. Especially, I think if we win the Carabao Cup on Sunday, I think that then gives the players confidence in a lift. That then snowballs onto the last remaining league games, which I think we then get a better result out of pretty much all of them. And then we go into the season, we've won a trophy, we've got rid of the voodoo, you know, and then we build on that. So yeah, for me, I think it has definitely been a positive, Mourinho being sacked, although the timing, but like we just spoke about, the timing could have been a lot revolved around Harry Kane and the players and the conversations behind closed doors. So
yeah, you know, it's odd, isn't it? Odd.
Crazy.
I love your motivational speaks, Gary. Superb. Absolutely brilliant. I think they need you in the changing room at half time and before the game, talking about it.
That'd be funny though. I've thought that. I've been driving along sometimes.
Yeah.
After a bad game, and I'm thinking, oh God, I wish I could get in that changing room.
Yeah,
definitely.
And speak to them all and tell them exactly what just a normal guy, a normal fan says.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know what I think, Craig? I think out of the box, and I try and make sense and reason out of what's happened. So I look at the season, how we were playing so well, how we got so bad, the sacking of Mourinho, and I try and find a logic behind it. And then I go off into these little sort of thoughts where I think, well, maybe there was a conversation with Daniel Levy and Harry Kane, and then, you know, and then maybe he had a conversation with Dele Alli and so forth. Because in my mind, I've got to try and make sense of what's happened in the last 48 hours, because it's crazy, isn't it? You know, it's like what you said, Chris, though. The majority of the Spurs fans, including me, who did like Mourinho, we do feel a bit more kind of upbeat and chirpy since he's been sacked.
This chat tonight has been so upbeat.
It's been quite a positive one, hasn't it?
I did the Last Word on Spurs podcast, and although it's a podcast that you listen to, we actually record it on Zoom. And you know, these last couple of shows that I've done, you know, I've sat here and, you know, looking at the faces and you know, the last few shows we've sat there with very, very glum faces, you know, very miserable it's been. And then switched on yesterday, you know, went on the Zoom chat and everyone's sitting there, you know, biggest smiles of the season. And I even jokingly said that. It was like the biggest smiles of the season so far.
So
I think with this, Chris, is...
I wonder if Mourinho has not only dragged the players down, but by not realising it subconsciously, he's dragged all of us down, the fans. You know, maybe
it's
that's
so
what's
bad.
happened.
Yes, it's sad.
We're not even realising it because you want to back him because he's the Tottenham manager. But maybe it's a bit like a relationship when you know it's ended, but you try and still let it go and carry on when you know really it's done. You know, and you try and hold on to the good things. Oh, we had a good meal there, and we went out there and had a good night, and you know what I mean. And that's kind of what we were doing, Mourinho. We're holding on to the Man United game, the Southampton game and stuff. But we've come to a point where it's almost like a weight is off your shoulders, and it's like a bit of a relief.
Yeah. My take on it is we can't play any worse than we have been. So anything now is a positive. You can't hit any lower than we've hit. You know, we've all felt suicidal watching Spurs. You know, like I said, I feel sorry for neighbours because I was close to throwing myself out the top window a few times. It's been like
Paul. I'll tell you what, mate. I knew I'd hit rock bottom because I've even given up shouting at the telly.
Yeah,
and it was like I didn't. It was like I didn't care because when the goal went in, I see we went 1-0 up, and then a Man United game, I think it was. Yeah. We equalised, or they equalised. I can't even remember the game now.
You know, for me,
and I'm thinking, that says it for me. I'm sitting there thinking, well, I knew that was coming.
Do you know what, Craig? Exactly. You're right, because for me, this season, and when Mourinho's taken over, I don't think I can ever remember a game that I didn't watch fully under Poch. and Redknapp and, you know, all the others. But under Mourinho, there was a few games where I would watch it for a bit and then I'd switch off the Man United game. When he brought on Sissoko, I switched off because I could only see it going one way. And I think that was the difference with Poch and Redknapp and, you know, and all the other managers. You could go 2 or 3-0 behind, but you always thought we had a bit of a chance. But, you know, when we kind of lost the lead with Mourinho, you kind of thought, well, that's it now. And then you kind of just, you didn't have any real confidence, did you? No. And then I think a lot of fans were kind of losing love with Tottenham. And unfortunately, it seemed like a lot of that was brought on by Mourinho. So
yeah, a lot of disconnection. As I said, I felt when we were under Poch, we were family as one. With Mourinho is very much about himself. No disrespect to him because he, you know, portrayed himself as the chosen one, but it didn't feel like a complete, you know, family unit between the Spurs. You know, family here, one chats. It's always, you know, negativity.
If we win this trophy on Sunday, who's won us the trophy?
Yeah,
who's won us it?
The players for their own ability and their own belief. Yeah,
the players. And do you know what, Chris? You're right, because if the players were unhappy with Jose Mourinho as much as they said they are, and the dressing room was lost and all that, well, then Sunday is the time to prove it. Step up and prove how difficult it was under Mourinho and go out there and play for the badge and give it your all. And you know what? If we lose in the end, as long as we go out there and give it our all and we compete and we go for it, then fair play. But if they win on Sunday and they put in a good performance, then they can turn around and, you know, they can say, well, look, this is where we are now. We sacked Mourinho and we've won our trophy. And we go on from there. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Do you know, I can't thank you three enough for doing tonight's chat, because I've had so many positive comments tonight about, you know, having some fantastic guests on. And I know I have some fantastic guests on doing these Spurs chat videos, which I'm very, very grateful to all three of you. But
I love it.
You've certainly perked a lot of people up and made a lot of people feel very, very confident. So, you know, we're going to finish the show on score predictions. I know you've already given them, but let's repeat our score prediction. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win against Southampton tomorrow night. Paul, what are you going for?
I'm going 2-1 tomorrow. Actually, 3-1 tomorrow, and then 2-1 on the Cup final Sunday.
Yeah, lovely. I'm going to go for 3-0 tomorrow against Southampton, and on Sunday, like I've said since the start of the season, 2-0 Tottenham.
And Craig?
And I'll go 3-1 tomorrow to Tottenham and 1-0 Sunday. A goal off Harry Winks' arse in the 91st minute.
I'll take it off a war race to go anywhere.
Or a Bale hat-trick. That might be
oh, God, yeah.
a bit sexier, and Gareth Bale hat-trick. That would be great.
Wouldn't it be wrote in the stars, though, if Gareth Bale got the winner or at least scored in that game?
I'll tell you what, I've just got a feeling he's going to have an influence on that final.
Yeah, that's what I've said all season.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
The joy that we'll all have seeing him finally lift the trophy with Spurs. You know, even if it's one of his second to last games, whatever. The fact that he's actually won something with Spurs and he can look back in his career knowing that he all won in Spain, the Champions League. He's got a league up with Tottenham. I hope to see Bale back next year. I really, really hope we get him back.
So do I.
We can actually give him all the love and support he deserves, because I think you would see Gareth playing out of his skin again. You know. Really,
he will. I guarantee. I've said this before. I guarantee Real Madrid will not want Gareth Bale back.
No.
Where else is he going to go? Where else is he going to go?
Where else he loved? So, he's worshipped.
You know, I've just got this image in my head of him running away. You know, like that goal where he's got his mouth open, he's got his arms out for Madrid. I think
that one with the camera with the heart as well into the camera.
Yeah. It's just, I've just got it in my head that he's.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm so hyped. I can't wait. We're going to do it. I know we are. We have to.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 Spurs win. I've said that for quite some time now in that Carabao Cup final. But honestly, I just don't care what the score is, as long as I see Hugo Lloris, Harry Kane and co lifting that trophy. Because as I keep saying, 13 years without a domestic trophy is far too long. Paul, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
My pleasure always, Chris. Come on, you Spurs!
Craig, thank you very much as always.
No problem, Chris. Really enjoyable. I can't shout that loud because the kids are in bed, but come on, you Spurs.
I don't care.
Gary, I blame you. This is nearly a 2-hour show. We're not normally talking this long. It's you. I think it's you.
I've had too many Red Bulls today, mate. Apologies.
It's the connections on the internet.
I'm just glad we've got our Tottenham Hotspur back, and I think we're all going to see that tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Really, really
Hopefully.
will.
Well, on the note of all of us going for a Tottenham Hotspur win against Southampton, and we've all gone for a Tottenham Hotspur win against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final, let's hope that things are on the up. Tottenham can put a trophy in the cabinet and we can climb up that Premier League table. Thank you so much for joining me, Paul, Craig and Gary, and come on you Spurs.
Pleasure. Come on you Spurs.